from where all of you are logging in. If you can share, in the comments. Hello, I hope you can hear me. Okay, Gurgaon must be very hot, right? Yeah, so we are that way. Hyderabad is quite pleasant right now, and our entire team is based here. So I hope you have browsed our website and you have been getting our updates regarding skill development, vocational training. And in case you are not, please visit our website and also subscribe to our e-magazine and our YouTube channel so that most of the queries that you might have today could get addressed and answered in the kind of updates we keep sharing very regularly. So NSN is a 9-year-old digital platform which I launched mainly with the purpose of creating awareness about the importance of work-based education in India. It is not just about skill development or vocational training. This is a much larger agenda where we are trying to see how education can positively impact economic development. So that is where the skilling and the vocational training and the work-based learning, apprenticeship, internship, all these come into the picture. And personally, I have a very strong reason to do this because I very strongly believe in industry integrated, industry aligned education for a country like ours. Um, because we cannot afford to follow the age-old curriculum or the system or the policy which has not changed much in the last 70, 75 years, which was actually handed down from the British time, right? We all know about it, so I'm not going into the details. But the landmark change that happened was with NEP 2020 launch, 4 years ago. And in fact, I'm very happy to share that we were the first ones to make a YouTube presentation as soon as the policy was launched, talking about what the policy is saying in depth for mainstreaming vocational education or integrating skilling with general education. Because actually, if you look at the policy, this is the most important aspect of the policy. Other than this, there are also many other things being suggested, but this is something which is like going to be like we use the cliche called game changer. It could be the game changer, and I believe in it. That's the reason we are conducting these webinars and workshops. Since this is a webinar, it is going to be for 1 hour 15 or 1 hour 10 minutes and 15 to 20 minutes for discussion. But I also invite you to join our workshops, which we'll be launching very soon. We have been doing these workshops for the last 3 years. These workshops are mostly interactive for about 3 to 3.5 hours, followed by there is also a certificate of participation, and it involves really, a lot of information exchange, interactions, and we kind of try to resolve few issues. So that's the actual platform where you get to go into the details, whereas a webinar is mostly information sharing, and also if there are any queries, I'll be happy to respond to. And in case you have any queries as I'm presenting, please share them in the chat. I'll keep looking at them. So let's get started with my slides. So once again, I welcome all of you and also those who are joining on YouTube Live. So I'm happy that, you could also find our YouTube Live, very useful to join in case you have missed registering. So welcome. And also in case you're watching on YouTube, share your queries in the comments. Our team members are going to look at them and we will jointly respond to them. Okay, so yeah. So as you know, the topic here is the higher education institutions. But then when we are talking about higher education institutions and NEP, We will also anyways indirectly talking a bit about school level, but this is not focused on school level. We are looking mostly at HEIs or higher education institutions, which are undergraduate and postgraduate colleges, which are aligned to various universities, autonomous colleges, and other institutions of national importance, several engineering colleges, and also polytechnics, which form a part of this entire spectrum. So let me start it this way. You must be, quite familiar with these two, the way we look at things, proactive and reactive, right? So there are two ways, when we look at it. Often what happens is, when we think of few things, or when we look at, let's say, some issues that are coming in, around us, when we are looking into education or anything related to education, connecting with employment, youth employment, or people not getting jobs or underemployment, we have this approach of, like quick fix kind of an approach. We try to figure out small ways in which those issues can be fixed. Like, for example, launch a skill development program, a short-term skilling program, launch some soft skill program. It is all very some incident, very transactional, and nothing is strategic. Nothing is long term, because that's the way we have been functioning, being such a huge country with so much of diversity. It is not actually possible. So most of our actions have been rather reactive. That is, we wait for something to happen, then we react. Whereas if we have to be proactive, then we need to think much more in advance, and have that entire perspective where we discuss, debate, come up with multiple solutions. So that's what is the objective of this webinar. And also, I think NEP is making a strong case for us to be proactive. So we are familiar with, Mark's memos like this, or so many of them. Now, what is NEP saying? This kind of orientation towards marks, grades, GPA, rote learning, where you keep reproducing things, the competitive exam system, all these things which are ingrained into our education system perhaps need to be relooked at right now. Okay, I don't need to go outside the focus, but we are aware of what is happening with the competitive exams, like NEET and UGC JRF and many other things. And if you have watched series like Quota Factory, you know how many lakhs of students go and waste their time in aspiring for something which a small percentage of students will get. So in that broad spectrum of things, we need to look at education very differently, and that is the reason why NEP, I think, is a very path-breaking kind of a policy, and it is coming up with many provisions and many suggestions, recommendations. But let us remember that since most of them are pretty new to many people in India, many institutions in India, there is always resistance, because it demands a certain change, a change in attitude, a change in the processes, a change in the goals, and many other things. So there is naturally some resistance also. Okay, so there are opportunities and there are challenges. And today in this webinar, we are going to look at a few very critical opportunities and challenges that might give you an idea about what this policy is actually, hinting at, or what we are supposed to do and how we can really implement few important things from there. So as I have been showing you on this slide, we have a typical way to distinguish between academic courses and skill-based courses, right? So academic, any degree program or any of these diploma programs, which are like BA, BCom, BSc, or any of the other theoretical kind of programs, They are mostly, even to that extent, engineering and B.Tech kind of courses are mostly theoretical. Like you can see, all these are applicable. Theory, knowledge acquisition with limited application. They are usually long term. And the exam pattern and the system demands students to really mug up many things with little or no chance for applying or doing something innovative. So that is the system at present. Of course, there are exceptions, but overall, the system works like this. Whereas the skill-based courses, if you look at short-term skill-based courses, or even ITI kind of skill-based courses, or any of the government short-term programs, they are mostly practical, they are mostly application-oriented, and hands-on all the time. And real world of work exposure is what the students get, and it involves demos, and performance is assessed based on what can be measured and managed. And also, during the learning process, like we have the German model and others, there is scope for workplace learning and OJT and others. So that is a typical skill-based course. So these two are looked, today we look at them as two silos. Okay, but what NEP is saying is that we have to give equal importance, equal respect to all three types of learning: academic learning, experiential learning, and skill-based learning. Now, if I have to give you quick examples, I'm sure in your friend circle, or in your family, or among the people you interact with, you must have had or heard many stories where students who want to do something what they dream about, like maybe there are students who want to take humanities by choice, but then the social attitude towards such students is very different, especially if a student has scored very high and wants to take a humanities subject. Usually the perception is, okay, this person is not very smart or not very sharp, so that's why he or she is going to academics, I mean to humanities. So even among subjects, we feel, okay, even if a low achiever somehow manages to get into an engineering college, we feel, oh yeah, this guy is or this girl is going to do something fantastic. And we know the reality is not that. And experiential learning is learning which happens informally at the workplace or in any other setup. So the wonderful thing about all this is that today with NEP, we are talking about assigning credits to all forms of learning and bringing them all to, one level and giving them the same respect. So that is, I think, the key takeaway from the policy. Of course, there are many more. I'll go through them as we continue. So how many of you have read the policy document? Can you please share your responses in the chat? Have read or seen or even implemented or discussed anything to do with the policy? So as I continue, please share your responses. So the policy was, as we know, drafted after a lot of ground level work. And then, it is also, it was backed by a lot of research, as we know. Yeah, Mr. Swami says he has read the policy. Okay. Yeah, in case you have read, then you must be quite familiar about most of the things I'll be talking about. But I think the discussion points will still hold a lot of value. So actually, in the policy, we also get to hear about how there is an intention to increase the gross enrollment ratio and also bring more people into, sensitize more students into the vocational and skill kind of courses. And the policy is based on these 5 important principles, that is access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. So if these are the 5 guiding pillars, then the reality or how we operationalize this vision is very important. And we will see now how we do that. And for this purpose, the policy has come up with many frameworks. A quick look at higher education in India. I'm sure these figures you know from the report of the All India Higher Education Survey report. The number of colleges are increasing, the enrollments are also increasing. And also another trend we see is that engineering colleges the enrollments are going down and most engineering colleges are not performing well. And also, as per the statistics, we see that most of the students who enroll, the highest number is for the humanities subjects. So these are all the kind of stats which give us an idea that we need to somehow help these millions of students become employable, right? It is not just the placement. Please let us not limit it to placements, and placements again get limited to engineering colleges. No, the issue is much beyond placements. Please think for a minute, what happens to students who don't get placed? Where do they go? How many colleges really take care of such students? What happens to students who by nature are average performers? Maybe, they are just not able to become like the top performers or the top rankers. So the system has been discriminating a lot and creating a lot of such divisions. But at the same time, being a country with so many people, as we know, the moment we want to climb the ladder, there will always be filters. There will always be, some kind of entrance or competitive exam. Now, the ecosystem in which we are operating, we from NSN believe in this, the 5E ecosystem, which is connecting education with economy, employment, employability, and entrepreneurship. And the policy is also actually talking about these five. For us, right from the day we started NSN, we believe in this. So why is it important? We know obviously that the youth have to have some source of gainful employment, some source of sustainable livelihood. If that doesn't happen, then we know the frustration, then we know the socio-economic consequences. So education is definitely one of the ways, the formal education, but there are also other means and ways to help them get employed. So that is where the policy is recognizing all the other streams and other ways. Now, industry, when we talk about economy and making employable and things like that, we are indirectly, expecting a lot from the industry. And I think rightly so, because if we have to make students employable and prepare them for, getting into the workforce, even if they come from an academic stream, at least a small percentage of that academic curriculum has to address this, the industry demand, right? What is the industry asking for? What are the top job roles, and in what are the sectors where these jobs are getting created? What is the job market like? Today, except in few institutions, this kind of a discussion or dialogue or anything around this hardly happens, because the connect between education and employment hasn't been established very well till now. Whereas with NEP 2020, there are many ways opening up to do this. So for demand, to meet the demand for those job roles, the skills, and fill the, the gap, and, how the skill mismatch has been there, or the skill gaps are there, right? So those, if to some extent, at least the educational and the training institutions can fill, that would be really helpful for the students. So it is not correct to say that the student will be 100% ready to become productive on day one of his or her job. That would be, I think, rather unrealistic. If it happens, then it is in very rare cases. So there is always going to be some gap between the student passing out of the institution and going and joining the workforce. But that gap cannot be as wide or as misleading as today, right? Today, there is hardly any match there. So that is something we are trying to address. An academic story, the academic part of the system is such that most of our curriculum will remain static, because curriculum, as we know, the syllabus, the curriculum, the textbooks, these are all, process driven. They are very bureaucratic, and there are like board of studies and many things involved at the university level. So we can't think of changing them every now and then. How do we make it dynamic? Whereas if you look at the industry, and if you're preparing students for XYZ industries, even if it is in a small way, let us say the retail industry or the manufacturing sector or hospitality or any such industry, if we foresee that, our students are going to fit into that, then the curriculum has to be dynamic, at least to some extent, because the job roles keep changing. The industry is, very, very driven by technology. So keeping all that in mind, we have to be a little bit flexible with the curriculum. Then the kind of industry connect the current colleges have, mostly I would say in the engineering, no, the engineering BTech, BE and the management kind of colleges, we are mostly placement driven, rank driven. We always talk about how much has this person, got, and what is the salary this person is expecting. Beyond that, not much of industry interaction is ever expected, because we feel, because that's the selling point, right, for many people, the ranks and things like that. But we need deeper industry connect, which is more strategic and long term, and which is more sustainable. So in fact here, just yesterday we published an article on our platform. If you have time, please refer to this article on MSMEs. We are actually going to send out 5 articles, how industry connect can happen, to realize the goals of NEP through MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. So today, when we talk about industry, it is mostly the big names, okay, in any kind of vertical. Okay, if it is IT, yes, then it could be IT would be let nothing less than TCS, Infosys, and others. Manufacturing, okay, if it is automotive, it has to be like a Maruti or a Hyundai. We always look at the top industries and the top brands, but how many people can get can get associated with that? So this is an area, which actually needs a lot of study and research, and I'm glad to say that we are currently working on it, and we'll be sharing those updates and our write-ups and all as we go along in the coming 1 week, because 29th is World MSME Day. So on that day, and we are also hosting a webinar on that day, so in case it interests you, please join us. So industry connect has to be seen in a very different way for this academia to get the industry connect. And then we know today there is a lot of talk about why, degree is not the most important thing. We have to supplement the degree with a lot of skill-based courses. All of us, I think, are aware of this. So in other words, what NEP is trying to do is balance these two, the academic and the vocational, and create vertical mobility for students, create multiple pathways, and cater to the diversity of India. Here is this diversity word is very important, because if you look at the lay of the land and our country, we know that, like just now in Sikkim, there was a lot of damage because of the floods, because there are some regions which are prone to this, and there are some regions which are very tribal maybe, and there are some regions which are probably very tech savvy and advanced, and there are some regions which are high on literacy. So India is not one uniform entity, right? There's a lot of diversity. Now, how does education meet this diversity? So, for example, if there are, like in Orissa, for example, we hear mostly floods or some places. So maybe the schools and colleges are mostly affected. So there also we expect them to follow the same curriculum and do the same thing. Probably to help such regions, we might have to tweak few things, but still they should be on par with others. Now, in tribal areas, maybe the curriculum has to be different, because the students there cannot relate to what we are teaching them in terms of civics or history or, in school or college. So these are some things which come up when we look at diversity. And when it comes to skill-based learning and skill education, NSQF is what is the benchmark, and we all have to follow that. Now, overall, to summarize this part of the webinar, I would say that today, when we are looking at education and employment and employability, what is most important is to keep in mind that no matter which industry it is, all enterprises are becoming more or less digital enterprises. which means that probably many digital skills, many skills in terms of programming, coding, etc. They kind of, they're all forming a layer on which all these industries are dependent. So at one part, in one, and I would say in one layer, you will find that it is totally tech and tech, whether it's a small kind of an intervention like a UPI, or somebody having a website as a small enterprise, to kind of changes that are happening in the retail sector or automotive sector or anywhere. I think what is important is to keep in mind that there is a big shift and a change. And then knowledge and skills are on the same path. So as I just mentioned, the goal is NEP wants, as per NEP, we need to have at least 50% of the learners exposed to vocational education, which is, realized through skills or any technical training also by 2025. This is just 1 year from now. I'm not sure how many are students or how much of this percentage has been achieved till now. Maybe if it has been achieved, it could be very low and small, because we still understand that not many people are aware of many provisions from the policy, or they're not clear about what can be implemented or what cannot be done. And also the policy is dependent on various states. As we know, there could be few states which don't want to take it forward because of various reasons, mostly political reasons. And there are many states which are taking forward irrespective of political affiliation. So both ways. So we need to look at it as a very neutral thing, which is actually talking about many good things. So some of the structural changes, to give you a high level view, at the school level, the policy is talking about 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, which is a big shift from the 10 plus 2 system, where we are looking at the pre-primary, primary, the middle school and the high school. And the good thing is, during this schooling, up to 12th, the children also have an opportunity to get sensitized to skills, to the world of work, because they have a provision for bagless days. And the NCF, which is National Curriculum Framework, is also proposing quite a few interesting things for students in the school. And also the idea is, as you know, might know, if you are from the school, if you are in touch with what is happening in the school level, CBSE has mandated one vocational subject. And also CBSE website gives you a lot of subjects, about 60 or so, which are, put under the vocational curriculum. And these are different, they represent different industry and skills. When it comes to higher education, the most important goal is holistic development. And that is the reason why this binary separation between skills and knowledge and other things is all, being now we are going to do away with those divisions. And there is also, I would say, focus on making education multidisciplinary, because as we know, at the college level, mostly we tend to see things as a specialized group of subjects in humanities or in sciences or in engineering or the STEM subjects. But now we are saying, even if somebody is taking a STEM subject, there should be a provision for that student to do maybe something which is very close to that person's heart. Like it could be like a like photography or some arts or some performing art, and still get recognized for that. And also there is a provision for flexibility. Though there is a proposal and a provision for 4-year degree program with 1 year of research, not many colleges are, universities have already implemented it, but they are exploring. But at the same time, there are universities which are implementing this. And there is this MEME, that is multiple entry, multiple exit provision as well, which is kind of making things flexible for students. So if they want to take a break, they can always take a break, come back and continue. All this is being made possible with the credit system. And also the goal is to enhance employability and also promote entrepreneurship. Now, to give you an idea about what the higher education part talks about is mostly, we just saw that the learning environment for the students should be such a robust environment that, the students should be able to learn not only from the classroom, but also from any other source. It could be like a blended learning program outside. They should also be able to, if possible, take up 2 degree programs. And also they should get recognized for this. Now, the other important side of the story is the teachers, the faculty, and the school and the college leadership also. So the vice chancellors and the college leadership, now what do they do? So for them also, it means that they will have to orient themselves to many new things, because this is an exercise in change and change management, right? So they will have to understand the backdrop in which all these things are coming up, the new ideas, the new proposals which are there. If they don't understand this and try to realize that, okay, these are very critical, and if they are not able to get convinced, then it's going to be difficult, because it is the leadership that has to get convinced first. And then, of course, the execution part, the teachers and others, now they also have to know that, yeah, these changes are good. And even if it means a different kind of work for them, they should be oriented towards that. Hence, teacher education and all this becomes important. And at the same time, research. The policy is also talking about research in a very big way. That's something which is much needed, as we know. And by nature, most of our educational programs don't give so much of importance to research. But as per the policy, yeah, there is a lot of importance attached to research. So I'll quickly go through the insights from the policy. These are just picked up from various pages of the policy. Like I said, socially meaningful and aspirational balanced education, which doesn't discriminate between various streams. So it has to remove the harmful hierarchies, silos, etc. And then reimagining vocational education, and building competencies. Please remember, the key word here is building competencies. It might be also new to many of us, because for all of us, I think whoever is attending the webinar today, we have all gone through a system which was so linear and very bookish and very exam oriented and things. And now we are saying that, look, competencies are more important. A competency, as we know, has a skill component and a knowledge component and an ability. So these 3 things together make it a competency. Now, are the student competent to do something at the end of the the course, the program? So this is where the vocational or the work integrated learning is being kind of embedded into the academic system. So gradually what we are getting to see is that mostly our higher education may not be a totally academic fair. It might be also having several components where we are going to balance it with skills and balance it with these competencies which are needed for various job roles. And we are also looking at interdisciplinary, um, interdisciplinary, as you know, is trying to mix up these 2 or 3 disciplines and come up with something, out of it. Whereas multidisciplinary is mostly like, okay, I'm able to integrate, let us assume, history with my engineering curriculum. That is like a multidisciplinary thing. So we are now looking at inclusive, interoperable, interdisciplinary, and outcome-based education. These frameworks, I'll just show you as we go ahead, NHEQF, NSQF, and all these. We are talking about outcome-based education, which should be measurable and observable and demonstrable. And in terms of schools, there is a lot of focus on skill appreciation and sensitization, mostly through craft-centric learning, where the school students are expected to get sensitized through bagless days and similar things. And this is the revised structure for the school. And this is the first policy which is actually trying to create a very strong linkage between the school up to 12th and the college, by way of showing pathways to students to, keep going mobile vertically, which means, okay, even if they drop out in class 9, they should be able to go and do their degree program. So everything is being seen as a continuum based on few credits and based on a few parameters and assessments. Now, integration of vocational education with academic learning, as I was already telling you. Then labor market orientation, multiple entry exit. This is also another important aspect. Um, a multiple entry exit, I might have to just give you a couple of examples here. So in case you've heard about BWalk or been a part of any BWalk program, you already know that BWalk works on this kind of a principle where there is a provision for students to get a certificate, a diploma, and a degree at the end of each year. And in case they want to pause their learning and drop out or discontinue after 1 year, it is allowed. Ideally, it should be allowed. But this has created a lot of tension and a lot of concern among institutions. So this is one point which needs a lot of debating and discussing. And then there is academic bank of credits, which is also now available from APAR ID, where the credits can be deposited. Then another insight is to do with recognition of prior learning. This is where the experiential learning comes into play, because the experiential learning, if we have to assess and certify, then we need some kind of proper parameters and criteria, and recognition of prior learning follows that. And also there is the alignment of various standards which are being proposed in through NSQF and others, by aligning it with international standards. So there are 4 or 5 international standards which are mentioned in National Credit Framework, which has been taken into consideration for coming up with these standards. And technology adoption, of course, it is something which is like a given, and this is definitely required. And also, the policy is emphasizing a lot on blended learning and something like a multimodal learning also. So whatever is possible for the student to learn, acquire knowledge, skills through blended or online format, it is always welcome. And the policy actually encourages more of blended learning. At the same time, it's also talking about offering courses and promoting entrepreneurship in these latest technologies. Like I showed you the slide where I said every enterprise is becoming a digital enterprise. And professional development of teachers is also given a lot of importance, both at the school level and at the university level. Then professional, technical, vocational education for 21st century capacity building. This is again more or less like taking a very holistic approach, and also the policy gives lot of attention to the 21st century skills as well, which has got to do with skills which are non-technical, but definitely very, very appropriate and much needed to navigate the world of work, which is evolving very fast. So after this thing, now if you have any observations and queries or questions, please share in the chat before we move ahead. Yeah, thank you for sharing these points, Mr. Swami. Um, and Pooja, yes, OJT and all is being given a lot of importance. Yeah, so since you are aware of most of these things which are already, being given importance, it's good that, we can really get into some kind of a discussion also, maybe towards the end for about 15 minutes or so, if time permits. Okay, now the policy is a document. Policy is all over there on the net. We read, we make notes, and then we talk about it. There are a lot of presentations, discussions, etc. going on. But the crux of the matter is, implementation. Do you provide internships to students? Okay, this is a question outside. Yeah, so the policy, as I said, is something which is just a set of provisions, recommendations, guidelines, etc. At no point in time the policy is mandating or telling people, hey, look, do only this. No, it is just giving us those guidelines and we have to interpret it. Like I said, depending on where the university is, where the college is, or where the institution is. So there is ample freedom for universities to create courses, which, as I said earlier, meet the needs of their local requirements, their local industry as well. So now the implementation part of the policy is enabled by several frameworks. And to create these frameworks, these are the important regulatory bodies and important national organizations which work together under the Ministry of Skill Development and the Ministry of Education. So that's UGC, CBSE, NCVET, AICT, DGT, and NIOS. So all these implementation frameworks and the supporting frameworks were discussed at length and then created. So what are the frameworks? Today we have 6 of them. The last one was added very recently. So when we look at the policy document, we will not be able to understand most of it unless we come here and go through these documents as well. National Credit Framework, which is a meta framework and an enabling framework. And I think this holds the key for many things that the policy recommends for implementation. And National Skills Qualification Framework is NSQF. As we know, this is again the standard benchmark for anything that we do through skilling, because this is talking about the levels, the curriculum, the qualification packs, national occupation standards, and the entire skilling ecosystem, the skill education ecosystem, etc. How the curriculum can be framed for various levels. All that is coming under National Skills Qualification Framework. Most importantly, this is a competency-based framework. So we will look at it later. Now, National Curriculum Framework for School Education is another one, which is a kind of a longish document, but whoever is trying to look at implementation ideas, etc., at the school level has to go through this. Then National Higher Education Qualification Framework for higher education. Then we also have curriculum and credit framework for undergraduate programs and curriculum and credit framework for postgraduate programs. The postgraduate program framework was launched just last week. So all these documents have so many details that at one look you might find it very overwhelming and you might get a bit confused as well, because there is too much to read, too much to understand. There are too many tables, too many examples. But if we go one by one, yeah, it does help. So now, what are the opportunities that are emerging from the policy? One is youth employability enhancement by integrating technical skills, 21st century skills with academic learning to make it purposeful and professionally rewarding. So this is a great opportunity. Then comes the opportunity to transform our perceptions of higher education, as we just, as I just showed you in the previous slides. How our perceptions can affect a student's life, right? We know why so many students, even though they are not interested, go and enroll in engineering programs, which has become like another 10th class certificate, which is of no value to anyone. So how do we gradually break all this? And that kind of a thing is possible only when these policies get implemented through these frameworks. And then professional colleges can also include new subjects in addition to engineering, technology, etc. And they can think beyond placements and do much more with the industry. And universities can now formally acknowledge students who enroll in parallel programs like dual degrees and other job-oriented kind of courses. It could also be apprenticeship and internship and others. So all these can be now credited and acknowledged. Then the introduction of credit system, which is a very big, step which is being taken. With this, the students can have flexibility and they can also choose which subjects, and they can bring their credits from other courses and then, add on to the present system. Or like I said earlier, make it flexible, with multiple entry exit, and still make use of their credits. And there is also the new structure, the kind of provisions which are there. It gives a lot of scope to introduce a lot of new programs, which could be, interdisciplinary in nature. Okay, so across disciplines, but then giving a very new kind of a perspective and helping students understand, the world in a different way. All these are becoming possibilities. And teacher training through teacher education through learning, that is lifelong learning and content creation, blended learning, action research. So now this provision was always there. Nothing much has changed for the teachers. It's just that today, in the changing circumstances, the teachers have to see their role very differently. So they can't be like, I was showing you the image earlier, be reactive to things. They have to be very proactive. Then strengthen academia and industry connect through beneficial things like apprenticeship, internship, which also help faculty and enrichment. And also there is scope for liberal arts, humanities, and sciences, etc., to become application oriented and industry relevant. What I mean by this is, today with the NHE-QF framework, which is outcome based, it kind of mandates a slightly different approach. Even if we are teaching liberal arts, humanities, subjects like history, political science, philosophy, commerce, or any of these, because we will have to attach some outcome at the end of it. So that gives it a very different orientation. So to summarize, the key aspects, if we have to take the engineering education, for example, the policy is emphasizing on holistic and multidisciplinary education. And also, the 4-year degree, which is there for engineering, remains the same. And they can still have major and minor subjects. And they can also explore how, for example, if they are interested in becoming entrepreneurs, or if there can be a incubation center in the university, all these are being encouraged. And for teachers, lifelong learning, teacher development, etc., is also prioritized and incentivized, especially through institutions like NIPPR. Now, let me take you through the credit framework. As I said, we will look at one or two key frameworks. It's not possible to look at all the frameworks within the given time frame. So the credit framework is an enabling and a meta framework. It's a meta framework because it's a framework which is actually taking into consideration how the credits can be assigned, how they can be accumulated, stored, redeemed, etc. At the same time, the credit framework is actually creating a way, or creating a path for making, education multidisciplinary. So it becomes a meta framework because what we are doing is also bringing all the three types of learning under one umbrella. That is the academic, the vocational, and the experiential learning, right? So for various reasons, it works as a framework which really enables and makes things clear as we go ahead. And if you go through the framework on your own, there could be few places where there could be some confusion regarding how the credits are assigned and things. So it requires a bit of study and application and lot of hands-on exercises before you start using this framework. Now, for all practical reasons, 1 credit is equal to 30 hours of learning. Um, And there is actually here in the document, it talks about theory as 15 hours and practicals as 30 hours. But overall now, the latest information is that for any one credit, if you have to say what is the number of hours of learning that one should have to get one credit, it is 30 hours of learning. And also, at various levels, the students have to accumulate different number of hours of learning. They have to meet this requirement. I'll show you how. But before that, let us just quickly look at what the credit framework is talking about. Whatever we saw in the policy just now, the credit framework is actually making it a reality. So it is more like the practical framework for the ideas and the propositions and the provisions which were given in the policy. So you can see the TOC of the credit framework. I just picked it up as an example. Now, if you look at the credit framework, it works on 3 axes. Okay, there is a axis, skill axis, and then there is this experiential learning or proficiency axis, and then there is the academic axis. So it is like a 3-dimensional framework. And what is happening is that because I told you in the beginning, this framework is not going to discriminate or differentiate or, between different streams. You can see that the equivalences are brought in here. You will have to go through this, this entire framework in detail. And if you have queries, you can always get back to us. We can see if we can help you in understanding it better. But since this is a webinar and it is, not possible for me to go into much details. But please remember, on the skill axis, you have levels, which are 8 levels. On the academic axis also, you have 8 levels. And these levels correspond to the levels of learning, like preschool, primary school, then middle school, high school and higher secondary school, and UG, PG, etc., up to PhD. And on the skill axis, you have this 2 and 2.5 and 3.5 and all these levels. Earlier, these levels were 10 in number, and now they are 8, the NSQF levels actually. These are the NSQF skill levels. And experiential learning is something very new, where the classification works like this: from trained to proficient to expert to master, depending on the years of experiential learning. So experiential learning is any kind of informal or self-learning which happens either on the job or without any formality attached to it, or like the trial and error, or some of us learn many things on our own through a hobby or any other thing. So this is for that. And most importantly, if you look at people like the artisans, the craftspeople, etc., who come with a lot of skills and a lot of traditional knowledge, for them, this makes a lot of sense, and it is very important to certify and recognize them. Now, this is the most important table from the NCRF, that is National Credit Framework. So you look at the columns here, academic. The first is about the academic band or the hours of learning. The second one is the grade or the level in academics. Third is the vocational levels. Fourth is the credit levels. Fifth is the credit earned and the credit points earned at the end of that particular year. So starting with the foundational, preparatory, middle, secondary, senior school up to 12th class, the student would have earned 160 credit points, and he or she, the students, would have been at level 4, that is 12th class. So 4.5 onwards is the higher education up to level 8. Now, the hours of learning, like for foundational courses, it is 800 hours per year. Then for school, it just goes up a little bit. And for senior secondary, it is 1200 hours per year. Now, if you look at the credit points here, which are aligned to this, let us say 12th class students will, get this 160 credit points. How is this getting calculated? The calculation here is the level at which, the credit level at which they are, it is multiplied by the credit points earned in that year. So it is 160. So that is a simple formula actually, which is applied at all the levels. Now, till PhD, you have been assigned levels like level 8. So every incremental year, the student is accumulating more credit points at the end. Now, what happens is, like I showed you the marks memo at the beginning, if you look at the new marks memos, they will also have the number of credit points the students have earned and at which credit level, etc. So if this information is also given at the end and the credit points are, they have stored these points in the academic bank of credits, the way we look at education will really gradually get transformed, right? But please remember, these credit points are assigned based on assessments. And the crux of the matter when we talk about National Credit Framework is assessments. We will need lots and lots of assessments because what happens is if a student, like one of the examples I'll give you after this. So let us first look at this. I just told you how a 12th class student will be getting 160 credit points. At the same time, if a student is completing an NSQF level 4 qualification of 450 hours and earns 15 credits, then this student will be getting 60 credit points. So like this, what happens is, there is this number of hours which the student has to take into consideration and convert those number of hours into credits. So as we keep doing that, then we see that at the end, we have accumulated X number of credits, right? Now we are talking about outcome-based approach also as per the higher education curriculum and credit framework for UG, PG courses. As I was saying earlier, even if it is a course which is very theoretical, like humanities subjects, we will have to figure out how those courses can be made more outcome-based. And that is what is the objective of this. And then again, it has to be assigned to credits. Because please remember, credits cannot be assigned just like that. Things have to be measurable, things have to be monitored, and then only credits have to be assigned. So to make it measurable, we will have to, check, verify based on assessments. Now, the advantage of all this is that when there are credits, the person can move from one stream to another stream. Like if a student has done ITI, and till today we would have thought that after ITI there is no scope, or if a person has done just 1 year graduation UG course and then has had a gap, then today we are saying that based on their credits, you might have to do one bridge course, like the ITI student can do one language course from NIOS, then, take this, appear for the 12th class exams. Till now, that path was closed for the student. Whereas today, with credit framework, more pathways can come. And also, if you look at the qualifications which are there in the skilling ecosystem, it will be easy for students to go from one level to another level, like level 3 to 6, or under any in any industry sector. So NSQF is another framework now, in addition to the credit framework and the other documents that I showed you. Why NSQF is something I have included here is because it is a competency-based framework, and it is talking about how we can assess those skills based on the complexity, the knowledge, and the autonomy that is required for somebody to demonstrate that skill. So the NSQF levels now are modified to up to level 8. Earlier it was a straightforward level 1 to 10, but now it is level 1 to 8. And there are these intermediary levels which are assigned, and this has been done to, align it very properly with the credit framework, because the credit framework also has these levels. So as per NSQF level also, you can enter at any level from any class, and then do that skill-based course and, get those credits. So the competencies which we are talking about for NSQF are actually realized through what is known as the level descriptors. For each NSQF level, you have 5 level descriptors. This you will be able to understand better if you go and refer to the QP-NOS documents, that is the Qualification Pact and National Occupation Standard documents, which are available on the NQR website. You can open any of those and see that all these are explained very well. Basically, to summarize this in a simple way, for all the 8 levels, what we are saying is that the learner should be able to demonstrate a certain theoretical knowledge, technical skills, have the right aptitude or the mindset to work in a certain job role, and then also demonstrate those learning outcomes as per the process orientation, etc., which is mentioned in the curriculum. Okay, so there are many performance criteria which are mentioned, and the learner should be able to meet those. And the fifth important descriptor is to do with the level of responsibility. So you can see the level of responsibility naturally will go higher and become more complex as the student progresses or as the person progresses in different job roles. Okay, now before I go to this, I'll just quickly summarize this part. So since again I'll have to repeat, since the since the objective of the webinar is to give you a very high level orientation on opportunities and challenges, we had to give you this entire background and we spoke about the opportunities. But before we go to the challenges now, we are actually, as a team, we are working in great depth. We are continuously working to understand, how we can help various academic institutions and industry, kind of enterprises, other enterprises, if they are interested to learn more. So as a part of that process, we have come up with some detailing, which I'll share now very quickly. And the objective of this is, like, we have come up with 6, it's like a summary, okay, of whatever we saw just now, 6 of them. This is still work in progress, so I'm not able to show you properly. Sorry for that. I'll just replay this. So one of them is the equivalence and harmonization of courses using credits. How is this possible? Why, I mean, first of all, why is it useful, or what are the advantages? The advantages, as we know, are, it will help students prepare for the world of work, and all their learning gets recognized from whichever discipline they are coming. And the methodology here is, using the NCRF document and trying to understand how major and minor subjects can be defined, and what kind of credits can be assigned, and what can be the number of notional learning hours, as they are called, for any particular subject. And today we are also talking about micro credentials, right? You must have heard about it and started working also if there was a requirement. So today we are talking about courses which are actually going to meet a fine level of national credit framework, so that the student can just take up that particular course and, meet the job requirement, which is more like a performance support kind of a thing. So now for this particular, a point which we summarize, the challenge could be, how do we offer this 3-year and 4-year degree? This is where we said we will also discuss few challenges. These are the real challenges the institutions will have to work on. So the college or the university has to take a decision, what is a 3-year degree or what is a 4-year degree, and then how these frameworks are actually, talking about implementing various provisions. And also how, for example, let's say a college wants to offer a multidisciplinary course. How many faculty members can they get? It is not possible, right? So if they have to offer, let's say, a course in photography, or a course in Indian knowledge system, or a course in Sanskrit and yoga and something else, they can't be getting faculties for everyone, especially when 2 or 3 students are opting for that, right? So we will have to figure out how these challenges can be met. Now, the next point is offering short-term courses as per industry demand and align it with NSQF. This is a very important provision for colleges, higher education, and UGC has also released a document mentioning what are the courses that can be offered. So the advantage, as we know, is again preparing students for various job markets, and also increasing the enrollment ratio of the students, helping them learn the new age technologies and all. And methodology could be, again, we go back to the frameworks and understand the higher education qualification framework, etc. At the same time, the colleges, I mean the universities, and any other institution, what they can also do is, if they are convinced that they are coming up with something new and they want to get it recognized and accredited as a skill-based course, they can always approach NCVET and apply for this awarding body status. So that will also help in offering that course. So the point number two, when we look back at it, the challenge is here again familiarity with this framework, NSQF framework, or the NQR, the registry, and also trying to select the courses and getting the industry trained faculty. So the practical aspects is what we are trying to put up here, and mostly the challenges are coming in the practical aspects. Now the next point is technology integrated blended courses, which can lead to dual degree. Of course, there are many advantages, as we know, for students. It can also be helpful for the open and distance learning kind of universities, also flexible learning, lot of advantages. And methodology, we know today there are a lot of MOOCs and OERs and other platforms where students, or you have like Swayam portal, and so many are there, the Skill India Digital, the portal and the app which they have. So there are many places from where students can learn. But again, the issue could be, one is, yeah, we tell them to learn, but practical aspects also somebody has to take care, like what kind of data, what kind of internet speed they have, what are the devices they are using, and is the faculty, trained enough to understand all this? How are we going to bring in those equivalences? And how are the blended sessions being facilitated? These are all the challenges again from the practical side. Now, the fourth point is the experiential and work integrated learning through apprenticeship internship. This is already happening, almost like OJT sessions. We are encouraging students, right? We are talking about degree apprenticeships also. Of course, the advantages are very obvious. We know industry exposure is always good, sensitization is good, and they get, they get to learn skills, and also they become more confident. And methodologies, again, the government already has this national apprenticeship promotion scheme for few of the apprenticeships. There can also be apprenticeship type of programs which the colleges can take up outside the scope of this. But I think the colleges and the universities have to move outside the large enterprises and explore the MSME sector also. Okay, so here the challenge is mostly, how do you continuously engage with the industry? Why should the industry spend so much time with the academic institutions? What is the, mutual benefit for both of them? It has to be a win-win situation. Like, for example, if we are approaching MSME sector, what are we giving them back? Okay, so this kind of thought process has to keep going, so that there is a good understanding between these two, the industry and the academia, and the relationship that gets built will become sustainable. Now, the fifth point was what we put up as a part of our research was multiple options to enter and exit the program, which is MEME, and the recognition of prior learning. So as I mentioned earlier, the multiple entry exit is quite a debatable thing even now for many institutions. Because it has some practical issues. Even otherwise, like even if the students have credits, from where are they getting these credits? Are they recognized? So there the credit framework plays a very important role, and the certifying bodies and the accrediting bodies like UGC, NCVT, they have to play a very, very crucial role, because it can't be just any other organization or an institution which we haven't heard of, right? So the quality parameters, etc., all these have to be defined. And when it comes to recognition of prior learning, assessments again become important, and there is a need to create those bridge courses. So the bridge courses have to be designed. So the challenge here is to overcome with a lot of differences and disparities in assessments which we have right now. Believe me, the organizations which are into assessments, I'm sure they will have a good opportunity if they explore this further, because a lot of it's like a database of a lot of assessments should be available, and I think CBSE is already creating those digital assessments. Faculty development is one more aspect. Of course, here again, the advantages are obvious: improved teacher performance, and alignment with the industry, and also research, international exposure. All these are possible. And methodology, we know already there is a government mission called Malaviya Mission, and there you have a portal where these teacher training programs are happening for orientation, for NEP, and there are other initiatives happening. So, like NITT for the engineering college teachers. So many things are happening, but this again has challenges, like the teachers should take out time to participate in this. It cannot be seen as a burden of extra work or something. So motivating teachers, incentivizing them, again, no, these are also important aspects. So with this, I kind of close this presentation. But before before I go to the other part, which is to do with in the meantime, I would request you to share your queries and points if you have any, from whatever I was showing right now, mostly in terms of sharing information. It would be nice if if I'm able to answer few of them. So let me share something again. And I just wanted to show you quickly few websites, the frameworks basically. So I hope you are able to see. This is the policy document, which is available. You can download and go through it. Like some of you have already done that, you said. Now the credit framework is this. If you go through it, you will see a lot of details, like the TOC itself tells you. In fact, every nitty-gritty has been worked out very clearly here about one of the important areas here is, this one, about how you can help students, move from the vocational to the academic and vice versa. So for that, you see, this is the entire table which is given here. So all the things that need to be done, like a bridge course, or what are the criteria that they have to meet, everything has been worked out in detail here. So you can go through these pages. Now, for anything to do with skill related, information, NCVT is the place for you. It has a lot of documents and guidelines and reports and all that. And when you come here, you will also see this NSQF related information, which is the most. Please visit only these websites for all the authentic information. We will also share links to this when we send you a mail, of this particular session, with a recording link, of course, on the YouTube. So you can keep them as reference and go through them. Then we have NQR. How many of you have referred to this website? Can you please let us know? The NQR website, National Qualification Register. No responses? Is this the first time you're looking at this? Yes? No? Hello? First time? Who's this? Samsung SM. May I know the name? This is very vague. If you say yes, does it mean you have seen it or you have not? Anyways, I just wanted you to, take a look at this website, because this is the place for us to go if we have to look at various curriculum, the qualification pack, and national occupation standards for skill-based courses. Like here you have, right? So you can go and check, view all. There are some 3,000 plus qualifications. Just a second. Here. Yeah, here. So if you go, all these industry sector curriculum and qualifications are given here. Okay, this is the first time. Okay. Yeah, so if it is the first time, please pay attention to this. And also, as I said, I will share the link. Please spend time on this particular website. Really, it gives you a lot of information about, let us say, for example, I click agriculture. There are 137 qualifications which are there. And these qualifications, when you click, for example, let us say, there is a course, entrepreneur course on mushroom grower or organic farming or dairy entrepreneur. See, because it is to do with agriculture, no, mostly it will have entrepreneur kind of courses. Or there is a course for tractor operator or tea plantation worker. What kind of skills or training is required? If you go inside, then you will see all the documents. Like, see, these are the documents which are given. So like this, you can go and check for all those 3,000 plus qualifications under different industry sectors. Okay, now if I show you something else, like for example, automotive, right? We are talking about the electric vehicle and many other things today, right? So you will find it all here. So there are a lot of courses, the qualifications which are given here. Like here you see it has 103 qualifications. And if you go down, scroll down, you will see, for example, electric vehicle service lead technician. Now, if you go inside, you will see what is needed here. Let's say, for example, in your college, you want to offer a course like this, then you have everything readily available here. You don't have to do things from scratch. And this is all accredited by NCVET, and this is created by the Sector Skill Council. So all these are very, very valid and useful documents. And there is also the industry alignment or industry partnership here, because Sector Skill Councils, they work closely with the industry. So now you see here, there is this occupational map and things like that are given here. So these are all much into detail. I will not go into that. Now the other one is, yes, yeah, in this only. Yeah, so here, so what I was telling you earlier was, the awarding body status, the assessing agency status, all that also you can, get information on when you come to the NCVT website here, and then go to the NQR to see what are all the awarding bodies whose qualification packs and the curriculum are placed here on this portal. And one important thing about these qualifications is that they are not static, okay? They are revised every now and then. So they are rationalized and they are kept up to date, because I told you, remember in the beginning, that industry is dynamic. So to keep up with that dynamic nature, that is what is done. Now, I would also like to show you our website, which is National Skills Network. Um, we are basically an information and knowledge platform, and we do conduct training programs, which are all online mostly, in the sense training as in these are like online workshops. It is not a long-term training program. And these workshops pertain to, like, in 21st century skills or teacher development, and mostly NEP implementation, and anything related to industry, academia, collaboration. So those are the workshops we do online. And as you're attending the webinar, we do conduct webinars as well, as and when it is needed. And this is our e-magazine, the Skill Times, which we have been publishing for the last 8.5 years. It's a fortnightly magazine, so you can always subscribe to this and keep getting our updates. And I also invite you to contribute to this. You can write articles, you can share your point of view, you can tell us the story of how you are, trying to do things probably in terms of implementing NEP or offer skill-based courses and so on. So this is about our website, and we also have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And I also invite you to, be a part of our YouTube sessions where we can organize a discussion with you. So let us know if this interests you, what you would like to speak on. We'll be very happy to have you in one of our conversations. So do that. And with this, I would like to close, and I invite questions, if any, even from the YouTube audience, whoever is watching us on YouTube. Please share any questions or any observations or any suggestions. And also, please fill in the feedback form. And help us, with your feedback so that we can improve further and do better in the coming sessions. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we also conduct workshops, and these are slightly long workshops. These are online, but then they are very interactive. So in case you are interested, we can do a workshop for your college, for your institution separately as a dedicated workshop, or you can join us for general workshops to get an idea as to how we do it. So the workshop gives a good opportunity for us to go into a lot of details. Okay, so any more questions? Yes, Pooja, others? Namrata, are you all there? Was it useful? Okay, I assume that this was useful to you, since I get to see that most of you have said yes earlier also. And do share your feedback, and thank you so much for participating in this, and do spread the word. If your colleagues and others want to join, we are going to conduct this almost every Friday, and it would be nice if they can also join us. So thank you all, and thank you all the team members from NSN. I think we have done it good, and we managed to carry it off well. Thank you.